What's going on, Bulls Nation? Welcome into the CHGO Bulls Podcast, coming to you live from our studios here in West Loop, downtown Chicago. I'm Peg, Bulls_Peg, joined by my guy, Big Day, BAWL Sports, our pal and producer on the controls, Joey Spathis. He is at Joey Spathis. The GOAT is Paris bound, but it's cool because we got a guest for you in a second. We will get to that, but most importantly, happy Sunnyside Summer Thursday, everybody. Ow! We have arrived. Head to Sunnyside.shop and use that promo code. I know y'all been asking for it. HICHGO to get 35% off your order. Brands like Cresco, Good News, and more to elevate your summer. Elevate that first purchase from Sunnyside. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright buys every day, only for 21 and over or Illinois medical card holders. How excited are you for Sunnyside Summers to be back, Dave?
Oh, that's why the shades are on.
Shades are out?
Yeah, not just because they're Shady Rays and they look awesome on me, and they can look awesome on you too. You save 35% if you go to Shady Rays.
There it is.
But it's Sunnyside time, man. And since it's so sunny out there, and once you go into Sunnyside, some people might experience their eyes looking a little bit different color. And you put your Shady Rays on just to continue with your day. That's all it is, baby.
Who needs Visine or Rotovie?
You got Shady Rays.
Pop on the Shady Rays. Shout out to Sports Chicago Style who said, Burks and Gams, happy summertime Chi-Town. That's right, baby. That's right, Fish. There's your promo code for Sunnyside, buddy. Go make good use of it. So GOAT begins a nice little vacay for himself today.
Yes.
Safe travels out to Paris. A little bit jealous.
Yes. But
he's going to have a great time. Fear not, because today we have a guest for y'all on deck, somebody that we've been meaning to have on for a while.
Very true.
You know him from his great work on that Bulls Gold podcast. If you're a Bulls podcast junkie like we are, with our pal Salim, it is the one and only Edward Shuler Jr. Hey. What up,
buddy? About time, man. Look, man, we had a little bit of conflict last week and trying to get it together, man. But I'm glad to be here. I'm ready to talk Bulls basketball. Dave, you know what I'm ready to talk about for sure. So whenever we get to that,
we're going to set you up nicely. I promise you, we're going to set you up nicely.
I know you're going to throw me the alley, man. But,
I got you. I promise, man.
Right,
but I do want to
in my bag, man. But, I'm glad to be here.
Is this draft related?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It is draft related. Yeah, we'll keep it draft related for sure. So,
but I definitely want to say this about Ed. Like, there are very few people whose basketball word, like, I take to heart, who I really, truly listen to, who I just call to learn from. And Ed Shuler is definitely one of those guys that who when he says it, I take it to heart. When we have discussions and he puts me on to certain players and certain things and we have real discussions about the Bulls and the NBA, his word is definitely one of those ones I definitely take to heart, man. He has a brilliant basketball mind, as you all are going to find out.
And if y'all out there in Bulls Nation don't know that yet, follow Ed on Twitter at Edward Shuler Jr. You can also follow him and his guy Salim and their Bulls Gold podcast on Twitter at Bulls Gold. Find it wherever you get your podcast, part of that Barroom Network. I love y'all's episode, which, by the way, little flex for Dave. You were one of their more recent guests, were you not?
Yeah. That show. Anytime,
one of those 2 or 3 hour long episodes.
Yo, bro, anytime we get together, Ed can attest to this. Anytime we get together, the show starts as soon as we all see each other on camera. Whether record is hit or not, the show begins. Because we'll talk for like an hour, but we do a pre-podcast before the actual podcast.
Yeah, the pre-pod always goes like an hour. I never recorded though, but I'm going to start recording the pre-pod, and then the actual pod, it goes about a few hours. Then we kind of have a little post-pod that might go 15, 30 minutes. It's all love every time we do it, man.
Yeah, man, it's really fun.
It's just a Bulls podcast blooper reel of some kind.
Man, dog, like seriously, because we discussing everything.
Classic,
Yeah, we'll get into everything, but mostly Bulls. But it's fun to do. It's a great show you all do over there, man.
If you haven't added Bulls Gold to your podcast wheelhouse yet, Bulls Nation, do it now. You won't be disappointed. So obviously we're going to get some of Ed's thoughts on this 2024 draft class. We got the draft coming up a month and 3 days from now, and we know he's got some takes. We want to get them. We'll also get Ed's thoughts on just like sort of the Bulls roadmap this offseason, what you think they should do. But because this was a bit of a headline, bit of waves being made just yesterday, we figured we'd start by getting Ed's take on this. In case you missed it, DeMar DeRozan, Bulls hero, was on the Pivot podcast the other day, and they were asking him about how he views this upcoming offseason and what he's going to prioritize as he makes his decision to stay with the Bulls or go elsewhere. In case you missed it, here is that key quote from DeMar. You try to prioritize happiness, obviously, the financial part of it, and winning. Those three things have just got to come together. They've got to match. Throughout your career, some guys just want the financial part. Some guys just want the happy part. Sometimes all three don't align without one of them taking a hit. So for me, those three things are a priority. For me, that it's got to come as close to being as perfect as it can to make sense for me to play there next. Ed, do you buy what DeMar is saying here with these three priorities? And if you were a betting man, which one do you think is at the top of his list right now when we've heard reports of this 2-year, $80 million deal that he and the Bulls are discussing?
Man, I really want to take DeMar at his word because he's giving us nothing to really doubt his word, man. But at the end of the day, it's a 2-year, $80 million contract. And if the reports are true, it has a player opt-out after the first year. So you're getting paid $40 million to come back next year, and then you can leave. I mean, it's a win-win situation for you. And worst case, they could trade you at the deadline, but I think that they would do right by him and they would trade him somewhere where he wants to be. So he's gonna be somewhere where there's really no expectation for him to really. I mean, if DeMar comes back and it's just DeMar, as we've seen the last 3 years, he's still going to be loved by Bulls fans. The front office is still going to view him the same way. And he's going to have $40 million to show for it. And he potentially gets traded to a contender, or he just opts out and goes to a contender after the next season. But I find it really hard to believe, and maybe DeMar will surprise me, but man, it just seems way too advantageous for DeMar to turn that down. I mean, again, 2 years, $80 million, you get to opt out after the year. What's the catch? I just really don't see a downside in it.
Well, the catch is you stay with the Bulls, and that other priority that he called winning, you ain't getting that here.
Right.
That's true. Yeah, that's the catch.
But he can win later.
He's gonna play till he's 55. Clearly.
Yeah. He can win later. He can take a cheap deal later. But I mean, when I'm thinking of DeMar, it genuinely does seem like he really loves being in Chicago. He loves being a Bull. He's probably treated very well. The fans love him. It's a great situation for him outside of the whole winning basketball games thing. But if they're going to show him love, if they're going to give him a $40 million contract per year, then you just never know. And I mean, God forbid something happened where DeMar's game falls off or there's injuries or whatever. $40 million is still, having that option is still pretty valuable. So I really just see it as a win-win for him. And I don't think he's going anywhere. I think the organization really sees value in not only what he does as a scorer and doing it in the clutch, but the leadership that he provides to the team. When you think about the influence he's been on Patrick Williams, on Kobe White, we've seen it at times with Dalen Terry. Like, these are all his young guys, man, and they really they buy into his professionalism in the NBA, and he's one of the best in the NBA when it comes to just professionalism on and off the court. So I understand why the Bulls want him. I wish they would push the button and say, hey, let's do away with this. But it's a really great situation for DeMar.
Yeah, like, I think you hit it on the head there. Like, the leadership qualities, AK really values, for the young guys and for the team right here. And, of course, as Will said, if you have DeMar, that's basically having 39 or 40 wins on your team. So can the young guys get you extra wins? We don't think so. But can they get you those wins? That's probably what AK's mindset is. But this is why I love when DeMar talks, because he'll tell you what he means. Like, it's not really hard to hear where he's coming from. So this is what I picked out of that when he said you prioritize these three things: happiness, the finances, and winning. He said those things have to be as close to perfect it can be to make sense for him to play there, as close to perfect. So if we're taking the Bulls, happiness, it's as close to perfect for him. He's happy as hell. He loves being here. The front office loves being here. As you just said, Ed, fans love him here. Like, he's done no wrong when it comes to that sense. Finances, that's as close to perfect. Who else is going to give you $14 million or a 2-year, $80 million contract with an option, which is insane if that's what's being reported? And that's
the Shanghai
crazy.
Sharks, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, shout out Shanghai. You know what I mean? All kinds of finances. But that's as close to perfect as he can get in year 15 in the NBA, is getting that kind of contract. That's as close as you can get. Winning. That's the issue where you have to pump the brake. That's where you have to stop right there. How much does he value that? If he's saying it has to be close to perfect, it's been real. You know what I mean? We'll talk to you later because it's not going to happen here in Chicago.
Yeah.
But if he can value the 2 out of the 3 and say, well, we're winning a little bit and I could be okay with that, then he'll be okay with that. But if he's talking about close to perfect and everything's got to line up like that, then he can't be here.
The line about, well, sometimes all 3 don't align without one taking a hit. And you're like, all right, well, clearly, if this is DeMar's logic, the one that's taking a hit, happy in Chicago, adored in Chicago, make the most money in Chicago, the one that he's going to let take a hit is winning.
That's it.
Which is why, like, Ed, I'm curious how you view this, because we heard from DeMar after their play-in loss to Miami, the second time, not the first time. I know it gets confusing. And hearing him say, man, like, I'm getting up there. This was year 15, year 16. I'm no spring chicken. At this point in my career, I have got to prioritize winning. And he goes on a podcast a month later and says, oh, well, I prioritize these 3 things, actually. And then you go to DeMar DeRozan's Spot Rack page and realize that he has already banked $257 million in just NBA contract career earnings. Nothing about endorsements or any other side hustles. $250 million in salary.
Attractive.
Already there. So when he says, after the season and another tough end to a tough season, I'm getting into a point, I got to prioritize winning. But then also we hear like, well, hey, there's $80 million dangling. I mean, you said you want to take DeMar at his word. Which word is it? Is it winning or is it money?
It's looking like money right now. Like, realistically, it's looking like money, man. I mean, they caught him in the moment after a loss, and he's saying, hey, I can't do too many of these anymore. We're losing in the play-in. We're not getting to the actual dance. Like, we're outside the club. We're not in the club anymore. So then you sit with it for a little bit. You sit with it for a couple of weeks, and you're like, I don't know. I mean, getting paid to be outside the club sometimes, it's not too bad. You can still parking lot pimp a little bit. You can still listen to some music. You could kind of hear what's going on, from the outside when they open the door. It's not too bad. And if I get bored with it, I can find a place to actually get into. So I think we're just seeing him thinking about it a little bit, and he's really sitting with that. And who knows, the Bulls may have upped that offer. I don't know what they offered him before this, but they may have just upped it a little bit and said, hey, here you go. Here's the deal that you wanted. And now he has the deal that he wants. And he's just, I'm going to sit on it a little bit. I'm going to sit with it. And realistically, where else is he going to get that in free agency? I'm not going to pretend to know other teams' cap situations right now, but could he get $20 million? Could he get $25 million? Could he even get $30 million on the open market? I don't know. So if you're happy somewhere, your family loves it, your kids love it, you're adored. I see Bulls fans saying that DeMar DeRozan is one of the best Bulls ever post-Jordan and maybe even all time that they've seen. And there's all this love and, adoration for him. So if he's celebrated like that and they've never won a playoff series with him, then I just don't see the downside for him. He's just in a great situation where he's going to be loved no matter what, because people will always blame AK, Eversley, the Reinsdorfs. DeMar is just here for the ride and making money. Great situation, man.
Like, and depending on which playoff team from this season that DeMar might see as a legitimate championship contender next season. Some of those teams that you were talking about, who's got money, who doesn't this summer, Ed, like obviously Philly is at the top of that list.
Yeah.
A team that's good, that has money to spend this summer. Orlando, they went to the playoffs. Young team, inexperienced, didn't make it out of the first round. Mm-hmm. They have money to spend. Yeah. DeMar actually makes a lot of sense there. Does DeMar want to go to Orlando? Does DeMar want to go to Philly? Because if he's willing to sacrifice money for winning, then he's going to go pick whichever, L.A. Lakers, L.A. Clippers, and play for the mid-level or maybe even the vet minimum. I just don't see him taking one of those mid-tier playoff teams that's not going back home to L.A.
Yeah, I don't see it either, but I want to see it. Like, if that makes any sense to you. Like, I want to see it. So that's why I keep trying to bring up scenarios in my head. Like, well, bro, this would be a better situation for you. And I think the only thing I can land on, Ed, here is it's the fact that it's year 15. You aren't getting any younger. That decline is going to come regardless of how well you take care of your body or what you do. That decline is going to come. That's exactly what's going to happen to you. I want to get out before it all happens. Let him go out on a high note. Let him continue to be beloved and continue to be the man here in Chicago. When he comes back on another team, we'll give him the tribute video.
He's getting a tribute video.
You know he's getting a tribute video. If it's anything we do, we give out tribute videos, baby. Shout out. I'm waiting for ours.
The crescendo being his back-to-back winners against Indiana and Washington.
Absolutely.
New Year's Eve, New Year's Day.
And then we love you, DeMar, right under that. Like, come and get right under that.
That's poetic right there, man. Oh.
Thank you, sir. We work hard on this. But I think that, like, him seeing that aspect and the aspect of actual winning, because after being in the moment with the playoffs, I never really heard him speak like that. That was the first time I heard him just sound really frustrated and really pissed and being like, hey, man, we got to win. Like, if y'all ain't going to be about this winning, then I don't want to be here. And they haven't been about the winning, for a couple years. Right. So I guess my question, and I can ask you this too, Ed, and I don't know if you have an answer for it, but what do you think is winning to DeMar DeRozan? Is it he's already told you he don't want to do the play-in.
Right.
All right. He wants to get to the playoffs. So is it the 6th seed and a first-round exit? Or is it, getting into a deeper run? Or is it –
Or as Supernatural and Fish in the comments are saying, winning is signing a 2-year, $80 million contract.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So what do you think is, like, winning to him as of right now, Ed?
I think realistically it's what he came here for originally. He came here to be a part of a team that was going to be a 4 or 5 seed and win a lot of games and have home court advantage in the first round. And that's what we were on track to doing, if not more. They were overachieving big time in that first year. So I think if he could get another Bulls situation like he did 3 years ago, then that would be winning. I think if he's trying to sign with a odds-on championship favorite, if he's trying to get with Denver or he's trying to get with Dallas right now or one of those teams or Philly you mentioned, I don't know their cap situation, but it seems like that would be a hard route to go there. Still get money you like, but you would be able to win a lot of games and maybe even get a championship. So I think from DeMar's perspective, DeMar may be looking at his career, and I don't know how deep he's actually gone with it, but he may be looking at his career like, okay, if I can get a championship, where does that actually put me? Where does that put my legacy? Because he scored all of these points. He's well respected around the league. He's made all-star teams. I don't know if he's going into the Hall of Fame, but he would have a case, I think, if he has a championship to show for it, and he played a pivotal role. So it could be a legacy shifter for him if he does that. So realistically, I think he really just needs a situation like he thought he was getting into when he came to the Bulls originally. But I just don't see him leaving that money on the table and going to, like you said, Orlando or something like that. It's gotta be worth it. Like you gotta make it count if you're gonna turn down all of that money.
We got to take our first break right there, but our guy Ed Shuler of the Bulls Gold Pod will stick with us on the other side, and that is when we will dive into some of Ed's thoughts on this 24 draft class. I'm excited to hear those takes. While we are sharing these words for our sponsors, you know what to do, Bulls Nation. Hit that like button if you're hanging out with us on YouTube. Hit that like for our guy, Ed Shuler. Hit it for Joey and his troll who needs your thumbs. Make sure you subscribe. Dave, who's first?
Fellas. Question. But a statement. You too, Joey, I'm talking to you. I need you to blink for me if you haven't purchased a Father's Day gift. Blink, Joey. Damn. I didn't want him to, but he did. He has not purchased the Father's Day gift yet.
Got time.
So guess what? I got the perfect idea for you. Today's episode is brought to you by our people at Manscaped, the leaders in below-the-waist grooming. Maybe your pops has had a bush since the 70s, or maybe he's been like our guy George Spathis. You know what I mean? Maybe he had the beard or the mustache, trimmed it off, went Miami Vice on him. You know what I mean? But came back a little more rugged with the Chuck Norris style. Who knows? Who knows how you roll? But guess what?
Roundhouse kick.
That's right. That's right. Walker, Texas Ranger. Our friends at Manscaped have crafted the total package for his special day. Whether it's for the boys downstairs, cello, his beard, or even the best part, which is the underwear that they have. That Manscaped underwear is amazing, by the way. They got all the bases covered. Head over to manscaped.com and get 20% off of free shipping with that code BULLS, BULLS. And you can look amazing along with your father. Don't you want to do that?
I do.
I think so. This is an all-in-one kit that comes with the Beard Hedger, Manscaped's most advanced beard trimmer, as well as shampoo, conditioner, oil, balm, all of that for your beard because you need it all. It also comes with the brush, the comb, the scissors, so he can style his beard and mustache like the true gentleman that he is. And no beard kit would be complete without the Manscaped Handyman Face Shaver for that smooth finish that we know he loves. That bad boy is all he's going to need. Compact enough to fit in any travel case. Make sure he takes this with him for his next trip. Can you imagine the 3-year-old running up, Daddy, are you taking your Manscaped? All right, thanks, son. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code BULLS at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com using the code BULLS. Never forget where you came from, if you know what I mean. Happy Father's Day from Manscaped.
CHGO Bulls today also brought to you by our friends at Prize Picks, the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. The easiest and most exciting way to play DFS because it's just you against the numbers of the game you're watching. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, George Sr. with his fresh cut from Manscaped, all you got to do is pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 different player stat projections for the game you're watching tonight, and then watch the winnings roll in. And speaking of games tonight, we got game 2 of the East Finals.
What?
Indiana, Boston. Crazy opportunity that the Pacers just let slip right out of there at the end of game 1. Tatum and the Celtics go on to win the OT period and the game to take a 1-0 lead. Who are you feeling in this game tonight? I feel like we could get a big Derek White game in game 2. He was kind of quiet, just 5 of 13 for 15 points in game 1. I don't think we're going to get another 28-point outburst from Jrue Holiday like we saw in game 1.
Yeah.
Credit to Jrue Holiday.
Yeah.
Incredible game.
He was due for that, too.
My goodness. But whoever it is, whether it's them, whether you feel Halliburton is going to rack up the assists tonight, he did have 10 in game 1. Just pick overs and unders, more thans, less thans on these players for Indiana and Boston tonight. Get your picks in at Prize Picks. Download the app today. Use promo code CHGO for a first-time deposit match up to $100. That's promo code CHGO for a first-time deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. All right, Dave. You want to dive into this next segment?
Let's dive on in because, let's just start with it. I know where Ed wants to go. There's only one place he wants to go, one thing he wants to talk about that he keeps bombarding the timeline with, and that he is excited to hear about. And when our guy was on from No Ceilings.
Yeah, I was going to say, secret was out when Corey Sullivan from No Ceilings came on last week.
When Corey hit him, you knew who was in my DMs talking about it. Was my man Ed, Devin Carter. So this is your guy. This is the man you always have a guy every year. You know what I mean? That comes out that you're like, no, you need to check this player out. And it's usually on point when you point them out to me, which is, again, why I take it to heart when you say these things. So what is it about Devin Carter for you that you're just like, yo, he is definitely that guy?
All right, so when you look at this draft, there really are not a lot of sure things, right? There are a lot of project players, I think, and there are a lot, I think, of AK type of players. So while I won't rule out taking one of those players, I won't rule out any type of outcome in this draft. When I look at this team right now, I think that we just have too much of one thing that we're trying to develop right now. Like, have you ever just been trying to like go out somewhere and you're trying to figure out what to wear and just like, man, I just got too many like Nikes, man. I got too much. I really need something like for something specific for this event. We need something different than what we have. And we've tried that already when we drafted Ayo. We drafted a 4-year college player who has improved his game from year to year to year, played heavy minutes as a starter. And Patrick Williams, Dalen Terry, Julian Phillips, more so players who didn't get a lot of minutes, played on good teams, but they're still trying to figure out their game. They're still trying to figure out how they can impact an NBA basketball game. Patrick Williams is getting there sort of, but these guys are still trying to figure it out. Devin Carter has it figured out. He can impact a game on both ends of the court. And the best thing is that he does not need to be a scorer in order to do it. But the catch is he has improved significantly as a scorer and a shooter during his time in college. When from his freshman season, he went to my alma mater at the University of South Carolina. We were really excited to have him. And he was very much more of a kind of sort of like a Julian Phillips type of player where, okay, he comes in, plays defense, he has a motor but can't really shoot, still trying to figure out his offensive game. He transfers, sadly, but he goes to Providence and becomes this player that we really envision. Now he can shoot the ball. Like, I don't think it's a fluke at all. I know some people are saying, okay, it's sort of fluky. How do you just improve your percentages that significantly? So, and you mentioned this to me on Bulls Gold, that you were worried about a Chris Dunn type of situation at Providence. They went to the same school. You know, Bulls bought into Chris Dunn. He hasn't really been much of that. But yeah, Chris Dunn, right? So here's the thing. I think Corey touched on this when he was on your show last week. But the biggest difference between Devin Carter and Chris Dunn, one of the biggest differences is that Devin Carter is not trying to be a lead guard, and Chris Dunn was. Chris Dunn was trying to be this Gary Payton, Dwayne Wade type of player. And when you watched him shoot the ball, there really wasn't a whole lot of variety in terms of how he was making his perimeter shots. He was really just trying to be more of a playmaker, creator for himself. Devin Carter has variety. And I read an article a few days ago at Swish Theory, and they were really highlighting the point about his shooting. He is shooting the ball. He improved his shot significantly, but he did it by taking a higher volume of shots and taking more difficult shots. So when you watch the game, you'll see him come off heavy movement and make like a fadeaway three from the perimeter, a deep three. These are not fluky shots at all. So he's doing that. He's creating off the dribble and making those. He's making the standstill threes. He has much more variety in his jump shots because Providence asked him to really take on this heavy load, and he did so successfully. And he improved big time as a shooter and as a playmaker. So here's the main thing. You're not asking him to be Devin Carter, the Providence version, the lead guard. You're asking him to come in and be a Josh Hart, be a Derek White type of player, be a Marcus Smart type of player, which he can do easily in spades. The defensive impact, I won't bore you with that because he's just really, 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 really good at that. That is going to translate instantly. He's got the size. He's got the athleticism. He has the lane, 6'3", 6'9" wingspan, athletic as hell, fast, motor. He can do it all defensively. He gets rebounds. He gets steals, everything. Offensively, he is going to give you value without needing to dominate the ball, and he can play with Ayo and he can play with Kobe. Long term, this guy is your Alex Caruso replacement. And to me, he is one of the few sure things in this draft. And if it were me, I mean, I'm glad it's not up to me because being a GM in this draft would suck, but I have him really high, like top 8 high in this draft. So a lot higher than you'll see him. I've seen him as low as like 19 on Tankathon. I think some people still have him like late first round, and I don't get it because they're not watching games. But he is easily a lottery pick in this draft. He is to me, a lot of things are going to translate very short. And I feel like he's going to be one of those players when you look back on this draft in 4 or 5 years, you're going to have that type of Donovan Mitchell type of feeling, or that Jaime Jaquez type of feeling where you're like, man, this was in plain sight. Why did we just ignore it? And why did we draft some project player who's never going to contribute to it for us? So that's one of my long spiels on why the Bulls need to take Devin Carter at number.
A lot of what you just said made sense to me, Ed, and I have watched some Carter tape, and it is intriguing. I don't necessarily worry as much about the age thing. You know, you mentioned Ayo as one of those guys at the Bulls draft who had several years of college experience. I think Carter's like second oldest player projected to go at the top half of this draft, just behind Dalton Knecht, who a lot of Bulls fans also are a fan of. So let me ask you this. You just said you've got him like top 10, maybe top 8 on your board. What do you say to Bulls fans, some of whom are in our comments, saying we don't need another guard? Mm-hmm. We certainly don't need another undersized guard who's not, as you just admitted yourself, a lead guard. We have those. We have those in Bounty. Do you think there are bigs, whether they be Knecht or Kel'el Ware or whoever else it is, who is a higher priority and has as high or higher of an upside that you would be okay with seeing the Bulls take at 11 if either Carter's gone or maybe Carter's not gone and they just take a big instead? Like, how would you react to that?
So I do like Dalton Knecht, and me and Dave were talking about, I know Dave is high on Knecht too. I think he would be a good pick as well at 11. So I'm not ruling him out, but the only player that I just feel like strongly goo gaga for is Devin Carter in this draft. And I will say this to Bulls fans who are like, we don't need another guard. That would be a waste of an 11th pick. This draft is not like other drafts. So you really have to get that out of your mind in terms of the value you're seeking for the pick. And you really have to take advantage of what is actually in front of you. So for me, I'm looking at it like this. There are a lot of projection players in this class, and I'm not against taking one of them. I think guys like Cody Williams are very interesting, and that is an AK type of player. Ron Holland as well could also be an AK type of player. If you look at Kyle Filipowski in terms of what they were looking for in Vooch and why they traded for him, those could also be the same reasons why they draft a Kyle Filipowski. So I'll acknowledge that they may actually go in a different direction with this pick. But for me, I'm looking at impact, and I'm looking at where I can get that impact at. And if I'm getting a player like Devin Carter, we're watching these playoff games and we're seeing players, we're seeing Derek White, we're seeing Josh Hart, we're seeing even our own former Bull, Derek Jones Jr. at times, really high-level role players who are impacting the game, showing up in key moments, guarding. You can't take them off the floor because they're hitting shots. They can play the whole game, guard multiple positions. They're athletic. They can play next to a variety of players. If I can get that at 11 in this draft where there are a lot of question marks and a lot of players who are probably just going to flat out bust, I'm happy with that overall. Caruso is not going to be here after next season. He's on $8 million a year right now. He's easily going to get double that. Javon Carter, not a factor. Who else are we missing in the backcourt right now? Lonzo, I'm glad he's starting to get healthy, but he's not a long-term piece here. So really, the only guards that I'm looking at that are long-term pieces here right now are Ayo and Kobe. So that opens up a long-term hole for someone like Devin Carter to be your sixth man. Or at times, he could also start. You never know. He can guard 1, 2, and 3. So that's what I look at it as.
I dig. Let's take the break, and then I'll ask him this question I got.
Right on. Let's knock out our second ad break. We'll come back and hear more from our guy, Edward Shuler Jr. of the Bulls Gold Podcast. Don't go anywhere. Dave, who's next?
Beer. Everybody got it. They like drinking it. They like having it. Bam. You see what that is?
In your face.
That's what keeps that man sane right there. Does a really solid job of it.
He ain't lying.
No, it's not. Shout out Coffee as well. Of course, between work, social media, and the choices life throws our way, it's no wonder that we're more worked up. But Coors Light celebrates rising above and choosing a chill mindset. Why not turn that Rain Down Barbecue into that Will the Goat Gottlieb 25th annual karaoke house party?
Can't wait for the Goats karaoke party.
Oh, that silver edition. You got to love it, man. Or, after a tough loss. Settle scores with an ice-cold peace offering. You can make the choice to choose chill, then reach for a cold Coors Light. It's that mountain code refreshment, because you know when those mountains turn blue, you know what to do. It's as cold as the Rockies. Cold lagered, cold filtered, and cold packaged for a smooth finish. Smooth as the voice of Ed Shuler. Smooth finish. When you embrace a chill mindset, it's a good time to choose chill and crack open a Coors Light. Coors Light is mountain cold refreshment, crisp and refreshing as those Colorado Rockies. Make the most out of the time that you got and choose chill. Choose Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door via Instacart by using CoorsLight.com/CHGO basketball. That's CoorsLight.com/CHGO basketball. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Hey-o.
That's Coors Light.
You know what it is?
Talk to me.
As of today, it's Sunnyside Summer.
Yeah.
Sunnyside Summer has arrived.
Yeah.
It's 78 degrees in Chicago today.
It is a beautiful day.
And it's Sunnyside.
Shout out YouTube.
Summer Thursday. My goodness. I told you all the promo code
You did.
at the top. Let me tell you a few more details. But before I do that, I feel like I have to get in Sunnyside Summer mode. Hold on. Just,
Uh-oh. Summer mode? Summer pecs coming up? Uh-oh. Transformations. Joey, watch the transformation before your eyes. Oh, the tank is out. Oh, the hat is on. One more thing. He only needs one more thing. There it is.
What's
Oh.
up? What's up, Bulls Nation?
Berg Heinrich in effect, baby.
Summer Pack has arrived.
Oh.
Thanks to, in part, our friends at Sunnyside. I've got a nice little 3-day weekend on deck, holiday weekend.
Right.
Already popped into my local Sunnyside, got what I needed.
Right.
To elevate my weekend, you can do it as well and elevate your summer all summer long. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, a place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of their high-quality products. Sunnyside has everything you need to elevate your summer. It's your one-stop shop for all your cannabis needs. They offer easy online ordering and in-store pickup. Place the order online. You're running your errands. Last errand of the day, swing through Sunnyside, get what you need to elevate your weekend. They got locations in Wrigleyville, in River North, all over the Chicago suburbs, also in Champaign, South Beloit, and more.
Yeah.
Head to sunnyside.shop and use that promo code HICHGO at checkout for 35% off your favorite brands that they carry for you, like Cresco, Good News, and more, to elevate that first purchase.
Love it.
Personally, big favorite of mine, the Good News tangerine flavored little, I think they call them brunch. They're the brunch. They're little tangerine flavored gummies.
Brunch specials?
Absolutely delicious.
Nice.
Exactly the hit I'm looking for. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary, bright buys every day, only for 21 and over or Illinois Med card holders. Sunnyside your summer, y'all.
Sunnyside it.
Woo!
You hear that, Lawrence? Sunnyside your summer. Let's go.
Lawrence is ready. Summer Pack's ready too. Stop by your local Sunnyside, y'all. Again, that promo code was HICHGO, 35% off.
I like it. I dig it. I do.
You took your sunglasses off, so I feel like
did.
I'll just leave mine on for the rest of the show.
And please, this is Summer Peck. This is, yes, don't change none of this. This is you, sir. If I've ever seen you, this is you. But Ed, I do have a question. I got a question for you, Ed. So the Bulls, obviously they have many needs, but the glaring need for me is at that center position. Because Vooch, with 2 years left, but behind him you have nobody. I mean, you do got Mr. 2020 in Sanogo, who I'm sure people are in love with.
20 and 20.
Oh, he did it. But they need help. There's no rim protection back there. There's no real rebounding back there. And they could use some help at that position. So if they don't go Devin Carter, or they don't go the typical AK way, which is getting that toolsy, lengthy wing that he usually goes for, what big man do you see the Bulls kind of settling on if that's the way that they go? Is it a guy like Zach Edey or someone else?
So I would say the pie in the sky outcome would be if they could trade up for Donovan Clingan. And I've seen some mock drafts where he is sliding, but I don't think that's because of talent. I think that's more so because there are a lot of teams in that top half of the lottery who already have centers. When you look at Houston has Sengun, Charlotte has Mark Williams, San Antonio has Wemby, and things like that. So I think there may be a possibility that you could trade up. I don't know what that would take, but I think that would be the pie in the sky because I think Klingon would be a big-time defensive anchor and would fit a lot of what the Bulls really need long-term. If I'm looking at options outside of that and going back to Filipowski, I don't think he is a rim protector, but again, when you look at what they were looking to get out of Vooch in terms of those skills, a big man that can pass the ball, can put the ball on the floor, that can shoot it, has decent basketball IQ. I wouldn't say he's great defensively, but probably could improve. But when you look at those things, I think Filipowski would be appealing to AK, and that might be someone that they could use either at the 4 or the 5. But I know he's not a real sexy pick for Bulls fans, and I don't blame you for feeling like that, but he is someone that I could actually see them really falling for at 11, and he's really in that range overall that makes sense for the Bulls. So that could be an option for the team, and he's been pretty productive in Duke overall, and I think No Ceilings posted a video earlier today really showcasing his passing. I think his passing really is very underrated, especially when you look at how he does it off a live dribble. He makes some really impressive looks and some really impressive feeds. So the upside there to really use him as a hub or really just use him in those live dribble scenarios is really interesting overall. And of course, he can still pop out and shoot it. He improved his 3-point percentages this year. So I think he's an option. Then you look at Ware as well, and I think you look at Missy, I believe, from I'm blanking out on the school, but you look at those options, and they're really athletic, they're long, and they're good pick and roll options. They're good rim runners and the defensive ability, but I don't know. I feel like 11 might be. They're probably going to go later, I think. So I don't know. Maybe the Bulls might trade back if one of them is the target, but I'm not crazy high on them. I don't know. To me, this draft doesn't really have a whole lot of intriguing big men to me overall. I don't know how you guys feel, but it feels, even though this is a weaker draft, it does feel more guard wing heavy in terms of that talent overall. So, and Edey's going to be really interesting wherever he goes. I don't know. He's so talented for his size. He's so productive. I mean, you really can't deny it. So I don't know, but at 11, or is he gonna? I don't know. His range of outcomes seem everywhere right now.
Well, so regardless of position, Ed, I mean, there are a lot of names that we keep hearing as far as Bulls fans' wish list, and then who is falling to the Bulls in everybody's various mock drafts. Ron Holland, who we talked about extensively on yesterday's show, of the G League Ignite, his G League Ignite counterpart, Matas Buzelis, Colorado's Cody Williams, another really popular name. Among these names that are kind of projected to go back end of lottery in the Bulls' wheelhouse, are there any that you are not buying their stock, any that you are afraid have the highest bust potential of this very strange amorphous draft class? Anybody that you would, if the Bulls took that guy, say, I think they just swung and missed on that one?
Man, I think Cody Williams is going to be really interesting. If the Bulls take Cody Williams, it'll be really interesting to see the response, because while I don't think he and Patrick Williams are the same player necessarily, I think you could see a lot of the same growing pains. And I don't know how much Bulls fans want to sit through that. Even though I do like Pat, but I just don't think that Bulls fans want to sit through that. He's a very talented long wing, but still some inconsistency, doesn't really rebound the ball well, but his shot looks pretty solid overall. I think it looks better than Pat coming into the league. So there's something to work with. So the Bulls have improved the shooting of some players. Io recently, Kobe as well. Julian Phillips' shot looked a lot better last year when you compare it to college with that funky base that he was working with. So they've been making some improvements with those guys. So maybe they trust their process right now, and they trust their staff to really work with. So I think you could also apply that to Ron Holland. Ron Holland, to me, would probably be the player that fits the oh no type of category right now, because I think he needs a lot of work. The talent is there. He is a big time. He's a big time recruit, but I did not really like what I saw from him with the G League Ignite overall. So I think he needs a lot of work. And if you follow, I saw a Twitter post earlier from someone on a Charlotte Hornets podcast who's been doing some breakdowns of the shooting. And if you can find that post, he goes into Ron Holland's shooting, and it's really bad. That's all I'm gonna say. It's really, really bad. So there's going to be some things that you have to work with when you talk about Ron Holland, when you talk about Cody Williams overall. So, those two, it'll be interesting to see the perception.
All right. Before we go into the next thing here.
Sure.
We had like 121 people watching, only 22 likes.
Oh.
Not feeling that at all.
Come on, y'all.
Let's get these likes up, man. Let's get them up for our guy, Ed. Troll Joel is like thirsty for thumbs. He's got to have them. Troll Joel, tell him about the thumbs.
Well, Troll Joe's not here, but
dang! Every time I set him up, come on, man! Come on.
Troll Joe's running to his neighborhood sunny side.
Yeah,
he's
running
his errands.
Well, it's hard for him to come out in the daylight. He comes out at nighttime.
He's a mostly nocturnal creature.
Correct. But yeah, the thumbs mean a lot to him. So hit the like button, a big like spike, and
Like Spike.
great
Like
to have
Spike.
Ed on. And I know that he would also appreciate the likes.
Xbox King Cam said, sorry, I forgot the thumb. Well,
It's all right.
thank you.
Thank you for making up for it.
That's why we remind y'all.
Yeah,
Hit that like.
Make sure.
Flex Diggs chiming in the comments on Ron Holland saying, high upside guy, the kind you take a swing on. Where we are in the draft, don't think about the position of need. We need talent. Generally speaking, are you a best player available guy, Ed, as opposed to drafting for specific needs?
Yeah, I think in this draft you just take the best player available, and I don't necessarily think that is best talent available. So for me, it's a little bit more nuanced. But I'm not always of the mindset that we just need to take. Everyone says take a swing on someone. I'm not always of that mindset, because you can go back to past drafts where people have taken swings on these raw upside guys, and then someone was sitting there in plain sight that was more ready-made for the NBA, and you passed on him because he was perceived to be lower upside. So I don't know. I think people really need to open their mind a little bit to some of these players who have stayed in college a little bit, have developed their game, and have gotten better, because there is a decent chance that if they've already proven they can get better against decent competition in college, they'll do it again in the pros. So we've started to see that already. So.
Gentlemen, we do have a bit of Bulls adjacent breaking NBA news.
Bulls adjacent?
As we are sitting here.
Okay.
And we were going to shift and get some of Ed's sort of, big picture Bulls thoughts before we wrapped up.
All right.
So here's our transition.
Hit me.
Woj just now. ESPN sources say the Detroit Pistons have landed on Trajan Langdon to become their next president of basketball operations. The sides are beginning to work on a deal for the New Orleans GM to oversee the Pistons organization. Obviously, we have heard reports that Bulls GM Mark Eversley was also considered to be a candidate for that head job in Detroit. So I saw somebody in the comments earlier saying, fire Acme. Well, Acme is still here, and unless Eversley takes an interview for some other front office job that I am not currently aware is available,
it's what it is.
Acme, be here.
It's what it is, Ed. Sorry.
What do you think about Acme's to-do list this offseason, Ed? And which for you is domino number one before they start knocking over smaller dominoes?
Well, first, Eversley is getting comfortable, man. I think it's clear that he's trying to leave and go on to better things, but it's just not working out for him. So he's here almost by default right now for whatever reason. But realistically, I think the first domino is that they really have to figure out what they're going to do with Zach LaVine, man. That to me, that is the first thing. Is he going to be here, or is this something that can't be repaired? Based on their actions last offseason, it seemed like something that can't be repaired, because it seemed like him and Billy Donovan are just really not a thing that works. And whatever beef they had, whatever played out in the locker room and behind the scenes, it seems like the Bulls front office sided with Billy Donovan, and they're ready to get Zach LaVine out. The problem is nobody wants him for what the Bulls are trying to get. get rid of him for. So the Bulls are going to have to keep lowering the bar, and it doesn't really seem like they're interested in that. So I think that is really the first piece of business that they have to figure out, because whether or not they are trying to retool, rebuild, or compete, Zach LaVine's contract is here, and what is he to this team? What is he going to get you? So,
and let me ask you about Lonzo. I think that's another piece, like another kind of big piece for this team that kind of is maybe I want a better word than holding them back, but that keeps them kind of stuck as far as they don't know if they could move forward or they don't know if they could take back. Like they don't have an idea. Obviously, without Zach or DeMar, but Lonzo too, because of development of Kobe White, because of development of Io, you know, what Lonzo does when he gets back. Is he back in the starting lineup? Is he coming off the bench? What do you do with that final year? Like, it's so many questions surrounding him. What do you think the Bulls should be doing or looking for with Lonzo? Like, just seeing if he can mesh with this team as is, which I don't think will be a problem because he's not a selfish guy. But as far as his skill set and his talent and the money is concerned, what do you think the Bulls should be doing with Lonzo?
That's a tough one, man. Honestly, I think that it's going to end up with Lonzo playing for the Bulls next year. I think someone brought up the idea, and I'm not as savvy with the CBA to know how it would play out, but with the stretch and waive, I don't know if that is a route that they really want to go down with Lonzo, because it seems for the most part that they really like him behind the scenes. He seems well respected within the organization, and I'm sure, you know, they went through hell trying to get him here, and, you know, with all the tampering stuff as well. So it seems like they genuinely love Lonzo and they want to do right by him. And if he feels like he is going to play next season, then it's going to end up being for the Bulls. So if he's here and minute-wise, I think you're really looking at 10 to 15 minutes, really. So I guess he just takes Javon Carter's role realistically, and Javon Carter is dead weight. I don't know, but I think that's really what we're looking at. But if they wanted to go down that route in terms of a stretch and wave or a buyout or whatever that is, then I would be for it. But it really seems like most signs are pointing to him actually playing next year with the Bulls.
Which, if he is great, and then it makes even more sense to just rip the Band-Aid, keep that final fourth year, as opposed to stretching it out with the wave and stretch, and then you're paying him $7 million each in the 25-26 season, the 26-27 season. Like, let's just be done with this.
Like, get it over with.
Whether or not he plays next season, let's just be done with this.
Okay.
Because, I mean, if you're freeing up whatever small amount that is, if to wave and stretch him and pay him 7 instead of 21, is that going to help the Bulls where they are financially? Because I don't really think it is. Because you have the bigger financial problem to solve, which is Zach LaVine's contract, DeMar's new one, Patrick Williams, and you're triggering the tax anyway.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's what I was going to say. I think that it really doesn't make a difference because the Bulls are not going to have cap space next year. So, like you said, they have Zach LaVine on the books. They're about to give DeMar DeRozan a deal that he really can't refuse, and I don't think he's going to refuse it. And then they have Patrick Williams, who he could end up – I don't think he's going to get some big type of deal, but if he got a deal like similar to – say Denny Avia, I think, who signed $350 or $340, something in that range, but or he might just take the qualifying offer, who knows? But they really have to think about that as well. And then you have to think about potentially mid-level exception deals too. And then you have a draft pick, the number 11 slot too. So it's if they waive him or they stretch and waive him, it's really not going to make much of a difference. So they probably are better off just saying, hey, just taking the L and saying, hey, he's going to play and we'll figure it out after next season.
And I'm curious your thoughts on the coaching performance from Billy Donovan this season. Where do you stand on this completely torn fan base? Because some Bulls fans think that Billy Donovan has an IQ of -75. And then some Bulls fans are like, well, yeah, Billy's not an elite head coach, but he's a fine coach. And the problem is the roster construction.
Yeah.
Where are you on that spectrum of how Bulls fans feel about Billy? And what do you make of the changes underneath him with some of these new assistant coaches?
So I think I'm starting to really buy into something Big Dave tweeted the other day about how it feels like they are building a staff that is preparing for Billy to leave at some point. I never thought about it like that, but it really feels that way with Wes Unseld Jr., who was someone that the Bulls were looking at originally when they hired Billy Donovan, and then Dan Craig, who was another really coveted assistant coach, comes from the Miami Heat. So he could jump. One of them could jump the head coach, and the other one becomes the lead assistant, and that's pretty straightforward. And then you look at Unseld; he already has familiarity with AK, so it seems to work. And then you look at the rumors in the offseason about Billy Donovan in Kentucky. I don't know how legit those were, but I tend to believe where there's smoke, there's fire. And Billy Donovan's name has been out there, and they saying, hey, I wouldn't mind coming back to college under the right circumstances potentially. So who knows? But it does feel kind of eerie that, like they said, like they are preparing to. He's not going to be here. If they go down a rebuild, I don't think Billy's going to stay for a rebuild. So I'm starting to buy into that. As far as what he is as a coach, I think I'm somewhere in the middle. I think he's an all right coach. And in the NBA, you can win with all right coaches. Jason Kidd, I think he's fine. He's in the Western Conference Finals. Chris Finch in Minnesota, I think he's fine. They're in the Western Conference Finals. Mazzulla in Boston, I don't think Mazzulla is one of the best coaches in the NBA. He's going to be in the NBA Finals most likely. Rick Carlisle is great.
Fine.
He's in the, so it's just all over the place. You don't need Greg Popovich or Spoelstra or Phil Jackson in this prime. You don't need one of those to get to the NBA Finals. This is always going to be a players' league. And even though Billy Donovan does things that make you just, question a lot of his decisions, I still think this is a roster issue at the end of the day. This is a roster issue. This is a front office issue. Ownership as well, if you really want to go heavy into it. So it's so much more than that. And Billy Donovan, while, we can question some things that he does, he's really along for the ride just as much as a lot of the players are. So you could upgrade the coach. I don't think it's really going to make that big of a deal with this current roster.
I do want to say welcome to On the Train. Welcome aboard of the train, brother. Also, another thing I wanted to point out.
Conspiracy theory has its own train?
Oh, my gosh, man.
Oh, my God.
I'll wait till you see the color and all that. It's amazing. But the other conspiracy I want to throw in there was he looked out for his boy immediately, who was Mo Cheeks. When Mo Cheeks was like, I don't want to do it no more, make sure he got a front office position. So he took care of his boy before he left, man, before he got everything straight. I'm just saying, man, it just feels like somebody's setting something up. That's all it feels like to me. But Ed, I wanted to ask you, what would you want to see? What is the perfect scenario for you for this Bulls off season that you would like to see them do? What in your head is just the one where you're just like, yes, they did everything I wanted them to do. Let's go get it this next season.
Man, I feel like they're already off to a bad start because they messed up at the trade deadline. That was the way to start it off, man. We know the deals that they could have got. We talked about it on the last show. We know what they could have got, and that would have jumpstart everything for them in this offseason. It would have been perfect. So now you're starting from a much worse position. You got Caruso going into the season on a one-year deal. Drummond is a free agent. So your two trade chips that you could have gotten assets for are now much worse in value for whatever reason you chose to go down that route, and I don't get it. So for me, they have to make up for that. They have to get assets going forward. We know this team is not – they'll be okay. They're not going to win a playoff series next year. They're not going to contend for anything. So they need to get assets, and they need to make sure that they keep their draft pick next year as well. So those are the two things that I'm really worried about. So get assets, make sure you're going to keep your draft pick, acquire some young talent that has some upside going forward, and really start this retool, rebuild, whatever you want to call it, off on a good foot. So trade Zach LaVine, get something for the future. If it's going to be 2027 first, okay, fine. I mean, you got to just figure something out to get assets and really restore the feeling overall. So that would be my ideal offseason. If they can start accumulating assets and really set themselves up. If they don't do that, and it's more of what we got last offseason where they just signed some mid-level guys and slap a happy face on it, then I don't think that's going anywhere, man.
Sadly, we are out of time. Thank you all for joining us on a Sunnyside Summer Thursday edition of the CHGO Bulls Podcast. Reminder one more time to head to sunnyside.shop. Use promo code HICHGO to get 35% off. Brands like Cresco, Good News, and more to elevate your first purchase, elevate your Memorial Day weekend, elevate your summer, y'all. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary, bright buys every day, only for 21 and over, and Illinois MedCard holders. Also, give it up, thanks and appreciation to our guest for the day, the one and only Edward Shuler Jr. of the Bulls Gold Pod. Ed, tell our fellow Bulls fans out there where they can find you, where they can find your great podcast.
Me and Salim Sudawala, shout out to Salim, man. We have a blast, man, recording, man. We've had Matt on, we've had Dave on, we've had Will on, man. We've had Marquet on. We do a blast over there at Bulls Go. You can find it wherever you get your podcast. We're on the Barroom Network. Check us out, man. We're releasing episodes regularly, and things are going to heat up for draft season, man. So if you want to hear more Devin Carter propaganda, I got you. I'm loading up on it every week. I'm flooding your timeline. I got you, man. So check us out, man, and you won't regret it.
It's not propaganda if it's all true, Ed. Then it's just Devin Carter facts. If you want Devin Carter facts.
These are facts. I might toss something in there to embellish it a little bit, just to spice it up a little bit, keep it spicy, but just a little tad. But it's all real.
Guest host if you didn't.
That's right.
Oh,
Yes, sir,
man. Good times. Glad we were finally able to get you on, man.
Yeah,
hey, are you coming to Summer Bulls Fest this summer? Get your butt to Chicago.
Damn, I'm trying to come over here. Look, especially if there is a chance that they are going to draft Devin Carter, I gotta be there, man. I gotta be there, man. I
Party, come hang out
around me, man. I feel like I gotta create the vibe to really get it to happen, man. So I gotta be there, man. I'm gonna
get into existence, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
For our guest, Ed Shuler Jr. of the Bulls Gold Pod, our pal producer, Joey Spathis, on controls. He's at Joey Spathis. Big day, bow. BAWL Sports. I'm Bulls_Peck. We are CHGO_Bulls. Have a great holiday weekend, y'all. Stay safe if you're traveling. Stay safe if you're here in Chicago.
Yeah.
We are back next Tuesday.
A Tuesday.
Have a great long weekend. Hit up Sunnyside. Enjoy yourselves. Ed, take it easy, buddy. Appreciate you. See you, Red. Be good, Bulls Nation.
Peace and love, y'all. We out.